Hi, everyone. I'm Zelda, your host for Success Through Connections with Zelda. Today's episode is sponsored by Social Sports of Ponte Vedra. They are a co ed adult sports organization with a variety of different sports that they offer adults for some fun, safe activities over the weekends when you want to get together and socialize and meet other adults. So we want to thank them, and their website is socialsportsofpontevedra.com. Check them out. Today's episode, I have former NFL Super Bowl champion Marques Ogden, and he's going to share some really cool stories and some information about how he went from being an NFL player to a business owner. He talks about how you fail, you get yourself back up, and you start all over again. He will talk about how he determines a real connection with someone who just really wants to schmooze up to him for his fame. And he's got some great insight on that. And he also shares some business advice that he got from his former coach, who happened to be Coach Jack Del Rio of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So he's going to share all that. And I'm really excited to help share his journey with him to you. So let's get started. So welcome to Success Through Connections. I'm so excited today because I have an incredible speaker, a guest today, who, when I found him and researched, I saw that we had so much in common, believe it or not, with resilience and overcoming obstacles and going from riches to rags to riches. So we had, I think you have a little bit more fame than I do, that's for sure. So today, my guest is none other than the former NFL football player, Marques Ogden. Thank you, Marques, for joining us today.
Nice. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. How's it going for you today?
It's going great. The sky is great. I'm in Florida. What can I complain about?
I'm in Florida as well. I'm in Destin, Florida. I have a speaking job tomorrow for one of our premier clients, High Speed Alliance. I'm excited about being here and doing your awesome show.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here too, to kick up our new season. So I wanted to talk a little bit about your background, um,
Mhm.
growing up a little bit, and your resilience and authenticity and networking. You have such an incredible story to share about how you were raised. What fascinated me was how you have a brother, Jonathan, who you were
Mhm.
both in competitive sports, but yet you were never competing against each other. And so, can you tell me a little bit about that? Obviously, that was the way you were raised or something, because you weren't competitive, you cheered each other on.
Yeah, so we were raised by a single father. My father, Cheryl Philip Ogden, raised both me and my brother when our parents divorced. And my brother's about 6.5 years older than I am. So we never played together until we got to the Baltimore Ravens, which was amazing. But we both played the same position, offensive line. So he taught me a lot, right, Zelda, about how to play the game, how to do the work, how to take care of business, how to be a very professional individual at all times. And learning that from my brother was absolutely huge. Because when I got to the National Football League, I had somebody I could call on, talk to, reach out to be there for me, to help me, to encourage me. And it was sensational. I mean, it really, really was.
So
And
he was like a mentor.
oh, yeah, absolutely. And
He
our
was your mentor.
dad did a phenomenal job being our best friend, our dad, our teacher, our provider, our protector, but also helping to bring Jonathan and I together. We had a little bit of an age gap. We were
Mhm.
still, and we still are very close. So having my brother be able to teach me the game at a high level was such an awesome thing to have happen, in that regard.
So you were in the NFL for how long?
Almost 6 years.
Almost 6 years. And then you left. And then what did you do when you left the NFL?
So I struggled immensely for about 6 months with alcohol, gambling, nightlife, other horrific things because I was just so defeated. We lost our dad, a couple, like about maybe a year or so before that. And I just wasn't really prepared for that. It was shocking, it was sudden, and I just couldn't figure out that next phase of life. Unfortunately, a lot of athletes, a lot of people in the military struggle with what's next. Like, what is that
Yeah.
next thing we're going to do? And I didn't know what that was. So I just kind of fell into living a life with no purpose, no direction, no sense of urgency, like just kind of like flailing through my day.
So
And
what
I
did you do?
finally I got off the couch and I went to a meeting at Morgan State University and I heard Congressman Elijah Cummings, who's no longer with us, speak. And that was profound. And that changed my life. And I said at that moment, Marques, you need to do something with your life. You need to get off this couch, get yourself moving, and get back in the game of life doing something. So I founded Caden Premier Enterprises. I named it after my nephew and my niece. My niece is named Kaylee, Kay, Jaden, Den. Caden started out as a small concrete contractor. I met my business partner, Mr. Arthur Perlman, at that event at Morgan State. We came together and we just started from the bottom and from scratch. And we grew to become the largest African American owned subcontracting company in the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland for 2 years. But
So
unfortunately,
where did you meet this Mr. Perlman at?
I met him at the Morgan State event,
Okay.
and he was there. And then another guy who I knew connected us, and we, Arthur and myself, aligned and forged forces and became business partners.
Okay. So you left the NFL, you
Mhm.
struggled on the couch. Yeah, I've been a
Mhm.
Netflix fanatic before. So
Well,
yeah,
we didn't even have that. So basically, I would just like watch like old movies on DVD because there was no Netflix,
yeah.
there was no any of that. So I was just DVDs and feeling sorry for myself, like pretty
So
much.
was it just you saying one day, I've got to get off this couch and do something? Were there people in your life that said, hey, Marques, let's get your act together?
What happened is, I remember, I never talked about this, but this is a true story. I remember waking up one morning from a hangover, and I remember looking in the mirror and saying, wow, I got my whole right arm bicep tattooed, and I don't even remember getting the tattoo. I
Wow.
don't remember it. And I drove home like 30 minutes from there to my house. So this was like 2000, like early 2000, late 2007, early 2008. And I said, wow, this has to change. It's got to change. If it doesn't change, I won't be here. And if I go now, my dad's legacy will end up not be, it'll die with me. Jobs won't be here. But what I could provide to his legacy, how I could eventually talk about him like I do now on my podcast, when I shoot my podcast, if I don't do something, then I will be exactly right here, not living a life to serve my dad and serve a higher power and serve a cause greater than myself. So that day made me change and say, I've got to get things going in a new direction.
So I know that you did this construction. I'm not sure what happened. I know that at some point you mentioned that you were either bankrupt or near bankruptcy. And I know at some point in your life you were taking a janitor's job for 8.25 an hour. So can you tell me just a little bit about that phase in your life?
Sure, Zelda. So after I lost my construction business, we got to over a $20 million a year company. It took me about 5.5 years to build that with my partner, lost everything that I owned in 90 days. I remember getting a phone call from the bank December 23rd, 2012, that they were going to be shutting us down. January of 2020, of
Wow.
2013. That was it. Line of credit gone, equipment line, everything, credit cards gone. They were going to pull everything and were going to come after what they could. And at that moment, I was like, wow, I'm about to lose everything. So I had to go through Christmas knowing that year, moved to Raleigh with $4 to my name, got fired from 2 jobs in the same week. I was so broke, Zelda, so poor. I could not even pay the bankruptcy attorney the $3,300 that it took to protect myself. Zelda, I had 177 creditors on my bankruptcy docket. 177. My bankruptcy attorney, who I actually saw in 2023, I bought my brand new house. I had to show that I had the stuff cleared. He said, Marcus, still to this day, you are the individual with the most creditors on a docket we've ever had.
Oh,
Still to this.
wow. I've been there. I know where you're at. I mean, my family got hit by, I work for my family, and our company, which was a 100-year-old firm started by my grandfather or my great grandfather, got hit by a tornado and wiped it out. But we rebuilt it. But boy, do I know those stressful days and all that. In fact, one of the things when you talk about the bankruptcy and the bank knocking on your door, one of the things that I found kind of interesting, but it didn't surprise me, was that most professional athletes, once they leave, they retire from professional athletes, whatever was sports they were in, that 78% of them, Marcus, within just a few years are financially stressed to the max or they're bankrupt.
Yep, I saw that in USA Today. That happened to me because I ended up just getting over. I got so pompous, so ego driven, so egotistical in my business that I lost everything and I pushed away my best team members, my best people. And that's what happened to me.
So let me ask you this. So I would imagine, and I can only imagine, that, you talk about authenticity and growing your connections, which is what Success Through Connections is all about. And I can only imagine what it would be like. How do you differentiate who is coming to be your genuine friend and cares about you, as opposed to those who are wanting to connect with you from your fame?
So what I've learned is people, especially now, right, that I've rebuilt my life. And again, I was a custodian making $8.25 an hour after being fired from 2 jobs in the same week.
Ugh.
I had my rock bottom moment in 2013 September. And at that moment, I said, all right, this is my wake-up call to get my life back on track. So I started speaking in September 2013, didn't get a paid job until April 2016. I've been coached, I've been developed. In the last 8.5 years, we've worked for over 70 Fortune 500 companies. Over 70. Best-selling author 4 times, podcast, all these things. And what I learned is if people come into my life, if they're wanting something right away, they're out of my life. Because no, because that's not what I'm here for. Now, you come into my life and you're adding value or you're curious and we're trying to help each other, all that, I'm in.
You're in, right? Yeah.
And that's exactly what I'm doing here in Destin, Florida. I met Dr. Forrest Bryant at an event in Fort Lauderdale last December. We connected, we chatted. He told me about his brand, what he's doing, hired me to speak for him in May of last year. There are 3 jobs for them this year. And here's the funny thing, right, Zelda? I booked my flight to come in Friday to speak Saturday and leave Sunday. They made a scheduling mishap. Well, it was the way they set the schedule. They had me speaking early on Friday. Dr. Bryant called me and said, Marcus, could you please fly in Thursday, speak Friday, hang out with us Saturday, go home Sunday? I said, Dr. Bryant, absolutely I can. Because that is the relationship, right? So I changed my flight immediately. And here I am now in my room working, doing this awesome podcast, coaching. Like I'm going to be working until probably 7 o'clock tonight. But that's what you do when you're trying to build relationships.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like I'm putting in hours from 7 in the morning, sometimes till 7 at night. I'm working 6 days a week, sometimes 7. I try to take one day off so that I can recharge my brain, but it doesn't always work, right? You know that. I wanted to ask you, are there people in your past, like, are there strategies that you used in football that you now use in your business life?
That's a great question. Yes, one of the big strategies that we use in what we do is called performance visualization. And that is the art of being able to deliver high value presentations, images based off of what people want to see. In sports, that's why fans love the game, because the more that they're seeing like how it looks on the field, aesthetics in the stadium, television, radio, now we've got, internet, all these things. When fans see it and they like it, they buy it. Jerseys, hats, all kind of game
Yeah.
stuff. Like, love that. Owners make a lot of money when the team is winning with their merchandise. In speaking, same thing. You want to put together masterful PowerPoints. You want to put together presentations that say, wow, that's stunning. Wow, that's mind-blowing. People love that stuff. They love it.
Can you share a story of how maybe somebody from when you were in your football days, or maybe it was the construction, whatever it was, or even when you were a janitor, how somebody was maybe, or even it was a friend, really is what I'm getting at, is did you have a friend or somebody from your life before you became this fabulous inspirational speaker that helped you get out of your, who helped you basically get forward, who helped guide you to be successful today?
So
They were the key driver. They were the key driver. They were your cheerleader.
Key driver in helping me get to where I'm at today is my rookie head coach, Jack Del Rio. Jack said when I was a 22-year-old rookie to all the rookie class, because I knew Jack when he coached at Baltimore as a linebacker coach, Carolina as a defensive coordinator, so I knew Jack for a while. Jack told us, in life, be your own CEO. Be your own chief executive officer. And that, Zelda, has stuck with me and will to the day I die. I use it in my speeches, in podcasts, in our podcast, because it's all about being a self-inspired, self-starting individual. Don't wait for people to tell you what to do, where to go. You know what you need to do. You get up, you go after it, and you get it done.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. I see so many entrepreneurs make the mistakes of they farm some of the tasks that they don't want to do. They farm them out to other people and they lose control. It's like, you can't do that. You have to. I remember Oprah once saying something about manage your own books. Like, I don't give my finances to other people to manage for me. And I mean, I don't like to necessarily get down into the weeds with everything. Like, I have a producer for my podcast. I'm not going to sit there and do all that. But you have to know something about what's going on.
Oh, here's the thing. If you don't know what's going on, you will lose. Again, I need to have high level knowledge of every aspect of my life. My accounting I work with, again, with bookkeeping, right? I was able to look at something and I was able to, after I was getting back with my bookkeeping, I was able to save a lot of money because I was able to write a lot of things off that got missed. I mean, people are people. We all make mistakes. My bookkeeping, accounting, legal, every aspect of this business, branding, marketing, sales, ops, finance, website, I check in with my team weekly. Every member of our organization, I check in with individually through a phone call, a text, an in-person meeking every single week. Every single week.
People. Absolutely. There's no excuse not to. Yeah.
Because if you don't touch things, you don't know what's going on. And just like if you're like the CEO of Walmart, you have a leadership team that handles every aspect of the business. You need to be talking to these people weekly, like people that handle this part or that part. As an owner, a top level executive, I don't care how big your company gets. If you have to communicate with people that handle every aspect of the business, either directly or lead people that do. If you don't do that, you're going to end up not knowing what's going on with your own business. You know what's going on with your own business, you're setting yourself up for
or
failure.
failure. Absolutely. I know that for someone of your caliber, it's probably very easy to walk into a room full of strangers and be perfectly comfortable networking. Most entrepreneurs that I talk to tell me, "Oh, I'm an introvert." What kind of advice could you give to those people who are the so-called introverts, but they need to expand their network? They need to make more connections. What kind of advice could you give to them?
Learn how to be curious. Learn how to just ask questions. If you don't like talking about yourself, because an introvert means you don't like talking about yourself, or you don't like to be around people trying to, express yourself. Got it. I understand. But an introvert doesn't mean you can't just ask some basic questions.
That's right.
If you're struggling in that area, people love to talk about themselves, especially when someone's asking them a question. So if you're struggling to network, get really great at being curious and let the person you're talking to do most of the talking. Then from there, when you know what they're about, then bring in some very concise points on how you can be valuable to that person, and then set a meeting for later on when you're not in a crowded, loud environment. It's a process. It's relationship building. It's not about meeting somebody at an event. Nice to meet you. Oh, you got some work for me? Please hire me. I'm not. No, you can't do that. It's not that. It's, hey, how are you? Tell me
Yeah.
about yourself. Tell me about your organization. Oh, wow. We do this. Maybe we could chat. We maybe could
Yeah.
help you. Great. Let's talk later.
I always tell people it's not about you giving out your card. What's more important is take their card.
Right.
Their card. Forget
Right.
your cards. Leave them at home. Good, go get their
Right.
cards.
Right. It's like you want people to give you their card. Then you can then give to them what they need to hear.
Absolutely. So I know that you are a very highly respected and admired speaker. I mean, look, you're in Destin right now giving a high level speech. So I'm wondering, is there one message, one topic that you are the most passionate about delivering to audiences? What would that topic be that gets
The,
the most impact?
the grit slash mindset talk, which is called the ego mistake from 8 figures to 825 per hour. People need to learn, they need to be guided on how to create a success slash fulfilled mindset through challenging times. And because of my story, because of my failures in business, I mean, I filed for divorce 2.5 years ago. So November, I will actually be officially divorced for a year. Officially, I filed 2.5 years ago. In my state, we have to be apart for a year. It's really interesting, but that's the way the state does it. No
That's
problem. That's what it is. But again, after that, I had to move into a broken down apartment that was dilapidated, that was dark, dingy, 2 windows, just outdated stuff, grimy, all these things. And I moved in there and I struggled for 2.5 months to get my mindset back on track. When I finally did, I leaned into my work, and I was able to buy my dream home 4 months later. So 6.5 to 7 months after moving out of my marital home with my ex-wife, I bought my dream home through mindset and grit. So people love to have us talk about that because a lot of people have gone through a business failure. Unfortunately, a lot of people have gone through a divorce. So I've been knocked down in my life constantly. But I'm going to tell people this. When in life, when I got knocked down with my business failure, the only way I could really get up, Zelda, is I had to admit that I knocked myself down. Once I did that, I got up. And in my divorce, once I realized I control my mindset, I can't allow it to sit in this negativity. I changed it, got better, moved forward. So my point is, you have to own it in order to correct it.
You have to tell yourself and have some faith. I know that when I've been in real estate for 16 years, and as I was building this new company up until now, I would constantly complain about, well, I should be doing better now. I should be doing this and should be that. And finally, it was um, my business coach who said to me, Zelda, only up until now have you been, because it's your mindset. It's quit telling yourself these negative things. You have to be telling yourself positive things. You have to have the faith and just go with it. So I'm on the journey like you are. It's like we all are. I know that you wrote a couple of books. One of them was called Being Authentic. It's the one that I've been reading. So was there a pivotal moment when you said, aha, I'm going to write this book on being authentic? We'll go into that a little bit later, but what was the aha moment for writing that book?
So I wrote the book to share with people my life story, my ups and downs, my struggles, and to show them that they too could bounce back after a hardship as long as they are willing to own it, fix it, and move on. And that was what really got us into a better place with, our books, our podcast, our brand overall, is that when life, if you make a mistake, own it, fix it, move on.
And move on. That's where I think people get stuck. But Marques, thank you so much for sharing your such an inspiring and powerful story. Your insights, they're so spot on. It's really about resilience. Everybody has a journey to be on, and you have to be resilient and you have to be authentic. So for those of you who are listening to the podcast today, Success Through Connections, we're glad that you're here. And Marques is going to, if you want to hear more about Marques and his great stories, he's going to be on our Alliance, which is on the second Tuesday of each month. So the next one, when Marques is going to be there, is on November the 12th. It's at 3 p.m. Eastern time. If you want to learn more about it, just give me a text. If you want to reach out to Marques, we'll have that in our notes. And again, you can reach out to me and I'll get you in touch with Marques. So perhaps your organization would like to have him come and speak to your group. Maybe you'd like to buy some of his books. I'll make sure that you get connected to Marques because he is just an incredible speaker. So again, we'll dive deeper into Marques's story, his success and his journey on November the 12th. So again, Marques, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having us. I really appreciate it, Zelda.
Okay, take care, everybody. Talk to you soon. See you later. Thank you again for joining Success Through Connections with Zelda. And again, we want to thank our sponsor, Social Sports of Ponte Vedra, where their motto is sweat, score, and socialize. So I'll see you next time on Success Through Connections with Zelda.